Valerie G. Thanks for joining me today for my tutorial for my submission to be on the May Arts design team again. Super excited to have made it through to the second round and really wanted to show off something a little different than just your standard scrapbook page or card tutorial. So today we will be making a wall hanging that has this cute bohemian chic flair feeling to it. And all of these D-rings are for looping ribbon on, because I have lots of little scraps of ribbon that I save. You never know when you're going to need a cute little knot or piece of ribbon for a pop of color on a card. And I throw these into a jar of scraps. And then something that's quite long, I will roll onto a spool and put up on my ribbon wall. But a piece of ribbon that's a yard or maybe a little less than a yard, maybe I only have about 24 inches of it, doesn't justify having it wrapped onto a spool. So these pieces of ribbon, I can now loop through a D-ring on my wall hanging and have them in sight. I can see how much I have. I can easily pull it off to take a look at how it works with my project. And when I see it, I'll be much more likely to use it. So this is what we're going to be making today. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so for our project today, we are going to need a variety of things, but not too bad. I've selected a handful of May Arts Grosgrain ribbons. They are all 3/4 inch wide. This fits perfectly with the D-rings that I ordered. This becomes the loop for which we will then be able to hang our ribbon through. So I ordered these online. They were very affordable. They ended up being 30 cents a piece. Ordered them in bulk, got them shipped straight to my home. Super easy peasy. I also used 2.5 inch wide natural cotton weave. I thought it looked like burlap and that it would go really nicely with the canvas that I use as the background for the entire project. And then some decorative trim just to really dress up that lacy scalloped edge. This is the board that I found at a little scrapbook store. It was originally part of a build your own banner kit, and each piece of the banner was a different shape. I chose this one because I really thought that the scallops were super cute, and I thought that the size of this piece of chipboard was really fantastic for doing something that was going to be a wall hanging. I liked the dimension of this. And then, of course, our piece of canvas, which is what we will be working on primarily today. I cut this down to size so that it will be able to wrap around the edges of the project when it's finished, and then we'll do some creative wrapping down here at the bottom around the scallops. And then I ironed it to get out all the creases that came on it from my local big box craft store. So let's take it to the next step. All right, so the next step in the beginnings of preparation for this is to take a light colored pen so that it doesn't bleed through to the other side of the canvas. And I drew a line around the outside of my wall hanging plaque, all the way around the outside so that I knew what size and dimension I was working in. Then I went in and started working with the ribbons to decide how I wanted to lay them out, how far apart I wanted to lay them, what color palette I wanted to work with, and went with this nice rainbow effect here because all things are better in a rainbow order. And this is what I think I'm going to end up with. So I have 6 D-rings and then 5 D-rings on every other alternating ribbon, giving me a total of 50 loops that I can then attach my scrap ribbons to. So I'm going to take each of these loops, these D-rings, and stitch them above and then below where I want it to hang. I'll probably end up with approximately a 1-inch channel that each one of them will be floating around in, giving it a little bit of movement. I'm going to head over to my sewing machine and work on that. May come back and show you an in-between step, or if it's going real smoothly, I will just come back with all of these stitched down. Alright, so I wanted to show you what I did for the next step. And the first thing I did is I played with, on this side, you can see all my lovely marks. This is the side I previously had up. And I played with some spacing and trying to figure out how to perfectly align all of my ribbons so that they were evenly spaced, because I'm a little neurotically OCD about lining things up and having them well spaced. Marked my canvas where those will go, as you can see here. Pinned down my ribbons across to secure them at the top of my panel. So for this first stitch, I'm trying to remember if a D-ring goes on it, and I'm thinking not. This is going to be simply a hold everything down nicely on the top of the panel stitch all the way across. Then I'll go ahead and start feeding on D-rings, and I'll go ahead and take a little break in the middle of it and show you how things are moving along. So that's where we're at, and I'll be right back. Alright, so I'm back, and I've made lots of progress, as you can see, but I wanted to show you how I've been able to go ahead and keep my ribbon straight and spaced well as I work my way across the panel, and then also how to get my lines that are going across the panel that I'm stitching relatively straight. Using the marks that I measured on this end very carefully, I transferred onto this scrap piece of ribbon little tick marks to indicate where each individual ribbon color should lay. I then went and found the center point of the bottom, marked those areas as well so that I could pin the ribbons to the bottom. And then as I go through, I can just unpin, slip on the next D-ring, and then repin that ribbon in its correct location. And then, using the same scrap of ribbon, I'm laying it across the project a little bit below where I actually want to stitch, which is this purple tick mark here, and then this pink tick mark here. This first set of pink tick marks didn't quite line up the way I wanted it to. As my mother always taught me, measure twice, cut once. In this case, measure twice, sew once. So anyway, so then I can line this up. I can double check that my ribbons are still spaced well. And a couple of pins just to hold this in place. I'm going to start here in the middle where I know that this darker green ribbon is the center. And then I can just pin each end to keep it in some approximation of straight. And then as I'm stitching, I can adjust the ribbon as need be to line up with the tick marks coming across my ruler here, just to give it that little bit of adjustment to make sure that it's as straight as possible. So I'm going to keep going with my last couple of rows, and I'll come right back and show you how she looks. Okay, so I'm back. I have all of my D-rings attached, and I cleaned up all the edges a little bit. So now I want to go ahead and attach this to my wall hanging plaque background piece. So this is what we have to start off with. We're going to attach this onto one of these, and I think that using score tape, I've used 1/2 inch wide tear tape, score tape here for this, and I think that this will hold it down just fine, and then I'll wrap it around and do the same thing on the back side. So this is the top of my project. I know because the ribbons all have this extra stitched area at the top that I intend to have wrapped around the back side. So turning this over, see how that looks. Okay, so I think that looks pretty good. So this will get wrapped around the top. like that. And I will wrap the sides about like that. All right, so I've got this all pressed on here really well, and I'm gonna go ahead and get these corners adhered down. And the best way to do this is a semi-bookbinding technique. And what you do for that kind of situation is you go ahead and trim these corners at a diagonal to help reduce the volume of material that you're working with at the corners. All right, so I am going to go ahead and fold over the top edge first. I want to go ahead and put some adhesive down along the top edge. Go ahead and tug this nice and tight. And wrap that firmly around the edge. Now, alright, so I've gone ahead and applied score tape to this entire bottom scalloped edge. You will find that if you score the tape and burnish it on really well, that you will be able to peel off that backing a little bit easier. The same thing goes for the backing that's on the chipboard. I went ahead and snipped straight in on the sides here too. So I'm going to go ahead and tuck this corner if need be up here and pull these edges around nice and tight. Get everything burnished down really well. And now we get to play with the bottom. So I went ahead and clipped in towards the scalloped here, scallop bottom, and my plan is to just fold this up section at a time, making it as tight as I can. Okay, so here I am. I'm on my last scallop down here at the bottom, almost finished. Just going to get this last couple little flaps stuck down here. And when we turn it over and take a look, it looks pretty good across the bottom. I like that, and I think that that'll make a great spot for me to add a little extra ruffle. I went ahead and took the 2.5-inch natural cotton ribbon, which is, I feel like, a great compromise between a burlap and a canvas ribbon. And then I took this beaded lace ribbon and stitched it along the edge of the cotton ribbon. Then I took that combined ribbon and made this great ruffle bottom on my panel. I just used a bunch of score tape on the back side to press it all in, and now we're going to go ahead and seal all this inside of here by adhering a second panel on top of the whole thing. Alright, so I've gone ahead and adhered the hanger, just twisting that natural cotton ribbon to kind of give it this fun, funky look. And I'm going to use 2 types of adhesive to glue on my back panel. I'm going to go ahead and use Fabri-Tac around the external edge where there's fabric, and then a few more strips of score tape just here along the center to make sure that this back panel adheres really well. And then this will simply sandwich onto this other piece, covering up anything that looks a little messy and giving it a nice finished look on the back. I've put the 2 layers together with a combination of Fabri-Tac and score tape, and then I've used Fabri-Tac to glue on some of that beaded ribbon onto certain loops of this 3-loop bow that I made. And I made this bow simply by taking a length of ribbon and laying it down accordion style, folded over and over, and then taking another length that was about 14 inches long, folding it into a narrow strip, tying it around the middle. And so what I did is when I made those accordion folds, I made the first one larger and the next one a little shorter and the next one a little shorter, so I would get this cute 3-tiered bow. So I think it turned out super cute, and my plan now is to just go ahead and use some more Fabri-Tac, which my bottle is almost empty. So I've been trying to keep it on its side so that it will come out here without us having to wait for too long. But while I wait for it to get to the tip, as a reminder, Fabri-Tac has acetone in it. So when you're using it, if you've done your nails, be prepared to have your nails get ruined, because the acetone in the Fabri-Tac will just destroy your manicure. So that being said, we can go ahead and apply a pretty generous dollop to the upper corner here. So we're just going to go ahead and apply this bow to the corner. And yes, I know that it's on top of some of my cute little D-rings, but I think there's enough room for everybody to play nicely. So there's our cute little bohemian chic bow to go at the top of our ribbon organizer. I will be sure to get some pictures of this hung up so you can see it in its entirety, because I know it doesn't fit very well into my frame here, but I can turn it this way and you can get a little bit of a better idea. So I can hang this onto my wall and just take all my ribbon scraps. And if I've got ribbons and I've got scraps that are the same color, I can, of course, loop them together on the same ring. There's plenty of room to do that. Or I can take the ribbon that I've got and loop it through here like that. And I'll be able to sort them if I want to, maybe by width or by color. And you can easily see about how many inches of each ribbon you have, and they'll all just hang on there and be readily available and at your fingertips for using for your next project. So that's it for me today. I hope you like my ribbon holder. I'm super excited to get it up on my wall and put it to good use. Full product information and links to all the Mayarts ribbons that I used will be below on my blog. And if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section and I will do my best to answer them. So thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you next time. That's underneath these ribbons when I pin this, Mommy, to hold the whole thing still.
Mommy, how do you know we are having tacos? We're having tacos.
Yes.
With Daniel.
I know that, baby, but I also know that I'm recording a video.
Oh, sorry.
I love you.
So, I go do it on. I go place it on people's computers.
Yes.
Okay, that is for us.
I love you too. Close the door, babes.